are just joining, it is Communications Week. We began on November 1 through November 7, and we are chock full of events this week. So welcome to this Communications Week webinar in partnership with Haiilo. I'm Joyce Garippa, Director of Content at Reagan Communications, and we are discussing today Omnichannel communications, strategy, content, and audience still matter. Before we get started with our program, some housekeeping notes. Please use the Q&A function to ask our speakers any questions. This will be a highly interactive session, so please do use the Q&A for those comments and questions, and we will get to them at the end of this session. Within 24 to 48 hours, you will receive a survey. Once you have completed that survey, you will have access to all of the slides and bonus material from today's session within 3 to 5 business days. So please do be on the lookout for that survey, and I will remind you again later. The omnichannel approach to employee communications is a game changer. But no matter how great the new technology, certain things never change. You still must be strategic in your communications. You still need to know your various audiences. You still must create a great content to cut through the clutter, and you still must measure what you do. Now, my pleasure to turn it over to Keila Flores of Haiilo. Welcome, Keila.
Hi, Joyce. Thanks so much for that warm welcome and deep dive into the topic already. So hi, everyone. Welcome to this session of the Great Comms Connection hosted with our partner, Reagan, today. My name is Keila Flores. I'm the Senior Field Marketing Manager here at Haiilo, where we empower you to reach, engage, and understand your employees. If you're new to Haiilo, we are the leading employee communications, insights, and advocacy platform with a measurable business impact. We are proud to have more than 800 international customers trusting Haiilo to help them better reach, engage, and understand more than 2 million employees every day. We're so excited to kick off this webinar session with the masterminds behind Crescenzo Communications and top-rated speakers and sought-after workshop presenters, Steve and Cindy. Cindy brings over 15 years of experience to the communications industry. She specializes in research, measurement, and strategic planning. Her passion for numbers and audience research have helped thousands of communicators transform their roles in their organizations and build strategies that deliver results. And through his work as a consultant, writer, speaker, and seminar leader, Steve has helped thousands of communicators around the world break the habit of creating boring, formulaic, jargon-ridden corporate content. And now I'd like to turn it over to Steve and Cindy.
Thank you so much, Keila.
Thanks so much, Keila. Thanks for having us. Hi, everybody.
Hey, everybody. We are the Steve and Cindy, the Executive Communications Leadership Team of Crescenzo Communications. We're also the only 2 employees of Crescenzo Communications. So
it's a small crowd,
yeah,
but
it's a hard road to advancement. I'm a little upset that this is Communication Week because my birthday was yesterday. It's normally my birthday week, so I feel like it's usurping my birthday. But that's okay. We're happy to be here.
It is Steve Week.
It is Steve Week. It's usually Steve Week. Love the global crowd. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
So
it's going to be a fun 1 hour, and we're going to dive right in. So, omnichannel is the hottest buzzword in communications today. Everyone's talking about it. The technology is just gotten so much better just in the last 5 years. We can finally target our audiences better. We can finally create content easily and get it to the right audience. We can finally put the right material in the right people's hands. The problem is people are starting to rely maybe on the technology and forget about the content and forget about measuring and forgetting about being strategic. I thought you were going to add something.
I'm agreeing with you.
Oh, all right. Usually she argues at some point.
How can I argue on any of that?
You can't.
It's what we do.
That's the thing. You argue no matter what. So Cindy and I are, we've been running Crescenzo Communications I've been there for 25 years. Cindy's been there for the last 17. And we're lucky enough to go all around the world. We've been to Saudi Arabia, believe it or not. We've been to Petrobras Oil down in Rio de Janeiro, been to Roche, Bayer, Nokia in Finland. I mean, we go all over, and what we do is we kind of burrow into companies and we do communication audits, we do training, we do coaching, we do consulting, we've probably seen more corporate communications than anybody out there in the world because of the work we do. It's just the 2 of us, so we do all the work. We don't have any interns, nothing like that. And the one thing we've realized over the years is that it can pretty much put people into one of 3 categories as to how they communicate. The first one is there's a lot of bad corporate communication. If we're being honest with each other, long thumb-sucking executive messages, 8-minute videos that nobody watches, jargon-filled copy, everything Keela said. Just there's a lot of bad stuff out there, and it's not even the fault of the communicators. It's just that it's almost as if people are set up to make us fail. Organizations are set up to make us. So we have to deal with legal and compliance and HR sometimes, and IT and internal clients with the wrong agenda and the approval process. And we are at war here to try to create great content, and a lot of people are losing the war, and no fault to them. It's just happening. So we see a lot of bad. Our job when we see that is to get them into the next category, which is good corporate communications. A little better visuals, better shorter stories, better leads, better first sentences, better headlines, better videos, shorter videos, more human videos, less hostage videos where someone's just talking in the video like this and they're reading a teleprompter and it looks horrible, like somebody's holding a machete to the back of their head and I'm here to inform you of the progress for the first quarter, and less of that, but it's still corporate communications, meaning it's still kind of boring, it's still kind of corporate. What we try to do for the last 25 years is to get people out of those two categories and mostly into that third category, where you take the corporate out of corporate communications and you replace it with creative. And that's really what we want to talk about today, because with the omnichannel movement happening all over the world, we can get content to where it needs to be, but that content has to be good. You have to have a strategic plan, which is what Cindy talks about, and you have to be able to measure it. That's what, it's not more important now than ever. And you know what? It's really hard to get people from bad to good to creative because of what I said, lawyers and compliance and HR and all the stuff lined up against us. I've been doing it for 25 years. I actually started my career with Reagan, the host of this webinar, way back 25 years ago under Larry Reagan, who was a legend in the field. And he's the one that taught me pretty much everything I know. And when I first started, I was so eager and I was so excited and I was so ready to take on corporate communications and get rid of it. I spoke at a Reagan conference 23 years ago. That was the keynote. So my picture was in the brochure, and this is what I looked like 23 years ago. That was me starting out in my career.
That was something.
Yeah, look at that's who Cindy married, basically.
That is who I married.
Look at that clear-eyed, sexy, cool, kept ready to take on the world. 23 years later, after battling the wars in the corporate world, I somehow turned into Uncle Fester, as you can see now on the video. And she's still married to me.
I still love you. I still love you, Steve.
The joke is on her. It's hard to do what you guys do, is my point. It's hard to do what you do. And the ones that get it right should be celebrated and rewarded. And it's happening. We're starting to see it because we are starting to see, Cindy and I, again, we still do, 6 or 7 or 10 audits a year. We still do a ton of consulting, ton of coaching. We still see hundreds of intranets every year, email newsletters, social media communications, internal, external, all of it. We are starting to see the end of corporate communications, which is such a wonderful thing. And it's because of social media. It's because of things that people realize it doesn't work anymore, finally. I mean, it never really did work, but it's all we had. Now they're seeing everything that's happening in the consumer world where content is rich and dynamic and interactive and participatory. People are involved in it. And then they go to the corporate world and these one-way intranets, which are, glorified print publications, don't work. Boring social media ads don't work. There's just too much good content out there. So we're starting to see the end of it. And we're starting to realize that all the people on this call really do have one job. We have many, many jobs, obviously. But our main job is to make the important interesting. And then make sure it's working, make sure you have a plan, and make sure you measure it. That's what this webinar is all about. That's what Cindy and that's what our company is all about. Make the important interesting, because guess what? We're not writing about sex, drugs, and rock and roll. We're writing about safety and wellness and products and procedures and company policies, and that's all kind of boring. Our job, but it's all very important. Our job is to make that important stuff interesting. And when we don't do it, it's a big fail. And I want to share with you my part of the presentation, which is to show you what it means to go from bad corporate to good corporate to creative. So here's an example of bad corporate. and you're going to think this was from 1950. It was from, I think, 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago at the most. It was a utility company that was announcing to the world and their employees at the same time that they were having a change in leadership. Important topic, right? Change in leadership is always a big deal. Here is what happens when communicators, the folks on this call, don't speak truth to power. When you let stuff go, when you're not a counselor, when you're just an order taker, you let this stuff go.
Good morning, everyone. I'm pleased to share with you some news that we'll be releasing before the market opens today. We'll soon be making a leadership change as part of the company's long-term succession plan. So effective on May 1 of this year, I will be retiring as Chief Executive Officer. After May 1, I will continue to serve the company as the non-executive chairman of the board. And I'm very happy to tell you that Alan Leverett will succeed me as Chief Executive. Alan has also been appointed to our board of directors.
What's up with Alan?
Alan is also extremely constipated and unhappy.
He's angry.
He's
I don't
angry.
think he's happy about this promotion.
Alan doesn't want to be promoted. Alan wants to be back in a bar somewhere getting drunk.
Who wants to work with Alan?
Yeah, show
Anybody?
hands out there. Can you show your hands? Who wants to work with Alan? That happens all the time. You think that's a funny example that I dug out of the archives? Cindy and I see videos like this all the time. Actually, sometimes people submit them to awards programs to try to win an award for it. Now compare that, that's in the bad corporate category. Compare that to the good corporate. Oh, that's God's sorry. Oh my God, I almost showed you again. To the creative category, I mean, creative communications. The American Medical Association is probably one of the arguably the most conservative organizations.
Regulated, conservative,
doctors,
you name it.
legal, I mean, it is crazy conservative. Well, at the end of the first year of COVID, and by the way, COVID has hastened the demise of corporate communications because people just didn't want it. They wanted authenticity, they wanted transparency, they wanted news faster, they wanted their executives to be human, they wanted to know what was going on. Corporate communications really stepped up during that time. And so the AMA at the end of the year, they were going to do their normal end of the year, executive message. So, and it's usually going to be an email with a banner from the desk of Dr. So-and-so. And it's usually boring and kind of filled with platitudes and kind of filled with, this and that and the other thing. And nobody really paid attention to it. It's like, oh my God, can you believe it's the end of the year already? We have a new year ahead of us, blah, 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 blah. The communicator said, we just got through COVID. Everybody's miserable. They're unhappy. They're scared. They're nervous. Some are working from home. We lost our corporate culture. Nobody's in the office anymore, hardly. I mean, we can't just send out a typical executive email. I mean, the way we've always done it isn't good enough, which is fantastic. And how many people show of hands? Can people show their little hands?
They can raise their little hands, but then we'll have to unraise them, but go for it.
How many people have seen the movie Love Actually?
Or you could just type in the chat.
Or type in the chat.
What's easy?
Oh yeah, by the way, Cindy and I are right next to each other.
Yes.
Right next to each other all day,
every
day, we're still together. While I'm talking, Cindy's going to be in the chat. So please ask questions in there, comment in there, share stories in there. Cindy's going to be monitoring the chat the whole time.
I love to interrupt them.
Yeah, too much.
It's what I do
Too
best.
much so.
I already told them that in the chat.
All right. Okay, good.
We've got lots of yeses, lots of enthusiastic yeses.
Yeah,
a few no's though, so you may have to set this up.
Okay, well, it's the best.
Holiday movie of all time.
Yeah, can I finish?
No.
It's the best Christmas movie of all time, and other than maybe Clark Griswold, but
wow.
There's a scene in there where this guy is in love.
I'm with you, Amanda. Elf is one of the best.
Elf is great, Amanda.
Yeah.
Elf is great. But this is probably the best.
Yes.
Love Actually. So a guy is in love with a girl, but the girl's married to his friend. All three of them are friends. The guy married. The guy planned the guy's wedding, but he's been secretly in love with the girl forever. He finally gets fed up and has to tell her. So he goes to their house, but he knows the husband's home. So instead of just being able to talk to the girl, he does this. He does a little cue card thing. Plays for just a couple minutes. That's the girl he's in love with.
Hi. Who is it? It's Carol Singers.
Give him a quid and tell him to bugger off.
Okay, so I know people are probably crying out there. If you have any heart or soul, you're crying a little bit.
It's one of the best scenes ever.
So the communicators at the AMA, this is the difference between corporate and creative. The communicators at the AMA went to their boss, the CEO, doctor or whatever, I forgot his last name. Very important guy, brilliant guy, intimidating guy. And they went there and they said, listen, this is COVID. Things are different now. Things have changed. They don't want to get an email from you. They don't want the long thumb-sucking 8-paragraph email about what a tough year it's been. We need to do something different to get their attention, to cut through the clutter. And the beautiful thing about omnichannel communications is this could now be sent to a phone, a tablet, a desktop. You can interact with it. You can put it on social media. It's all about all the channels now. You get great content and you can actually put it in a lot of different places. And that's what the beautiful thing is. So watch what they did. Look, it's the same doorknob, kind of, and they did this. The guy you're about to see is the head of the American Medical Association. They coached him and counseled him to do this. The same opening as the movie. This is my favorite part, where he takes the corporate jargon and calls it out for what it is and translates it.
Lots of great feedback on it. It is more moving. I'm crying too, Amanda, and I've seen this. I can't even count how many times I've seen it.
It's just amazing. It's amazing what great communications can do.
Mhm.
And Cindy and I push all of our clients to work towards this, to move towards this, especially in the omnichannel world where it's so much easier to get great content out. What people aren't realizing, and everyone knows it's easier to get content out in the various channels and reach audiences we couldn't get to before, but it's not easy to, it's easier to get great content out. Right. And look at the, of course, what Cindy and I have learned over the years, last 3 or 4 or 5 years, is with social media, is that all great internal content eventually goes external. This was created for employees, but it was so well done and so popular. He put it on his LinkedIn page, the doctor, and he got all those opens on YouTube. They put it on YouTube, they put it on LinkedIn, they put it on Facebook, I think, multi-channel, but omni-channel. And look at just the comments from the employees. Look at these. This is the best AMA holiday message ever. It's so heartfelt. What a cool idea and execution. Kudos to the employee comms team. When was the last time any of us got kudos? People don't even like us. I feel so proud to work at the AMA, and we'll remember the support and kindness and the importance of our work. Crying, I'm not crying. Just phenomenal response. You talk about employee engagement, retention, recruitment, all the stuff that we talk about as communicators, and then externally. What a great thing for the AMA to put out there to the world. That is the beautiful thing about communications these days. And so how do I move this bar so I can read this?
Okay, sorry.
I'm not very good at technology.
Nope,
Cindy's the head of the company.
It's why I sit so close to him.
And the IT department. I got to move this bar so I can read this. Okay,
There you
move
go.
it all the way down to the bottom.
Okie dokie. You just take it and drag it. Drag it. I got to teach you how to fish.
Okay.
There you go.
Very good. Okay, good. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so this is another example of, this is probably considered good corporate. It's not terrible by any means. This is a guy that a new executive wants to reveal or unveil a video that was made during COVID. It's for BAE, a big defense industry, who they do really good work. They do really, really good work. But again, we do a lot of customized workshops where people send us their stuff. And my job is to look at the content and critique it. Now, I looked at a bunch of their stuff that was fantastic that I show in my workshops. This was one that I critiqued, and it's not bad. This guy was coming into a new division. He's a new executive at the company. And the main purpose of the piece of communication, he wanted to show the video of everything they built and everything they accomplished during the horrible year of COVID. So you can see the headline says year of first video, which is a terrible headline. The first thing I dinged him on was, that's not a headline. You gotta write speed bump headlines. You gotta write headlines that will draw people in. Year of first video, that's not gonna do it. And then you start reading it, and you're waiting to get to the video, right? You're like, where's the video? What's this video? What is this video that he's talking about? And you start getting this stuff. Oops. As you heard last week, I have accepted the position of President of Employment Services. I am filled with great pride. They're always filled with great pride. I was drawn to this business immediately. I will continue leading this organization. I am grateful to have worked alongside you. I have worked with people so incredibly talented. I am proud of the employees. I thank you. I will remain here. I have full confidence. I am this. Then he says, this message is not about me. It's about you. Well, the hell it is. And by the way, we still haven't got to the video yet. No mention of it. Finally get down here. Here's the mention of the video. Today, I'm excited to share a new video. Look at the time gap there. This is classic corporate. It's when communicators don't stop up and say, John, I know you're happy to be here. I know you love everybody. You think everybody's the most brilliant people you've ever worked with. Can we just get to the video and you can do your thank you note somewhere else that nobody will read, by the way? Let's get to the video because here's the video. Check out how cool it is. These people make machines of war. I mean, it's just a really great video that probably cost thousands and thousands to develop, and nobody's going to see it. I mean, cool, right? Now, another example of really good creative communication. So I'm trying to get from bad to good to creative. This is creative. This was a woman, Cheryl Palmer, right? Palmer.
That's exactly right.
Cheryl Palmer is the CEO of a company called Taylor Morrison, and it's a construction company. In construction, we've worked with construction companies, many of them, and that is dripping with testosterone. When you go in those companies, you step in puddles of testosterone. It is male, macho, male. This is a woman who rose to the top of that industry and is the CEO of this company. My idol. I mean, talk about a powerful lady. And her employees love her. They love her. And we spoke to the communicator that works there. We never worked with them, but we spoke to the communicator who did. They love Cheryl. They love Cheryl. Cheryl would do a video blog and did it in the office with a couple of cameras on her. And, it's classic corporate video. She didn't read the script, but she was pretty stiff and formal because executives somehow think they have to be like a hostage video when they talk. And it was 8 to 9 minutes long, and nobody watched it because as much as they love her, asking somebody to watch an 8-minute corporate video is like asking them to watch Gone with the Wind. It's never going to happen. I don't care how important the topic is. It doesn't matter. It's an 8-minute corporate video. So COVID hits, right? Cheryl gets quarantined like everybody else. She's sitting in her backyard at home, and she does a Shoes Off with Cheryl, which is the name of the video blog, Shoes Off with Cheryl Home Edition. And she does it as a Velfie. If you've never heard that term, it's a video selfie. We're seeing it all over the place. This is the beautiful thing about software like Haiilo or First Stop or any of those great software companies, where you can shoot this video and then immediately put it out there to a phone, to a tablet, it's wonderful, but the content has to be good. If you send an 8-minute video out to everybody, forget it. But she did a video on her own, a Velfie. And by the way, we have counseled probably 20 to 25 CEOs or VPs to do this, to forget about the camera crew, to just take your phone and do this, sitting in the boardroom, do it like this, sitting in the back of a car, do it like this. Shoot out a 1-minute video to employees, let them know you're thinking about them, what's on your mind, what do you want them to do, what do you want them to know. You'll see her in the beginning of this, she leans forward and presses play herself. No crew, no video crew, no telescript, no nothing. Oh, now I can't press play, so.
Okay.
you moved it down too far below.
Okay, so what do? We take it
Oh,
and
right.
we drag it.
So you drag the green part.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Oh, not back up there. Okay.
Okay.
All right, thanks. All right.
Okay.
I'm not very bright.
Well,
So listen to it. Listen to how watch her lean in and press the video.
Team, how are you? I wasn't sure the next opportunity I'd have to film a Shoes Off with Cheryl. So I thought, why not a Shoes Off home edition? But first, let me check in with all of you. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're taking care of yourselves and your families, exercising all the safety and health protocols, including safe distancing. I didn't have a real agenda for today's first edition.
By the way, I love that. I didn't have an agenda. I just want to talk to you, check in with you, see how you're doing. No PowerPoint, no, and then listen. I'm not gonna. It's only a minute and a half, which is why it worked. But I do want to share with you the ending, how she ends it, because it's really just so authentic and great. Oh, let me see if I can do this.
End of April means we could have 3 or 4 more weeks of this. Just thank you for what you do each and every day. Remember to be your authentic selves. This is my authentic self. I actually got dressed up for you to do this on this Sunday afternoon using my new smoker for the very first time. Bought it 2 or 3 years ago. But remember to be kind. Remember to take care of yourselves. And a quote that I just saw that I so respected is, we're fighting a new war called COVID-19. But for the first time in history, we're all fighting that war together. So thank you, and please take care.
And then she leans forward and turns off the video. I mean, you know what I love about it? I love it. She goes, and she hesitates and she stumbles a little bit. And the employees love that. These kind of guerrilla style videos are so much more effective than your slick corporate videos. This is the kind of content we need to be pushing out into our channels. It's and of course it got great reviews. Employees loved it. People respect her so much. But you know, I don't want to share too many videos all the time. It doesn't have to be video. This is a company. This is what is one of our clients, Iowa Health. They do a lot of really cool stuff, and they introduced their new CEO with a long video that not that many people watched, I don't think. But at the end of it, you see it says, at the end of this video interview, Suresh Gunaskaran agreed to. This is the new CEO of a hospital, a doctor, an important guy. Agreed to a quick minute of rapid-fire Q&A to share a few details and personal preferences. Following is a compilation of fun facts and insider information you won't find on his LinkedIn page. That's brilliant communications. And you learned that how his name is pronounced, and which is rare for a doctor. We work with a lot of healthcare companies.
right.
It's rare for a doctor that doesn't want to be called doctor. He wants to be called by his first name. Then you learn his native language. How do you say hello in Tamil, which is his language? So now you had employees actually seeing him in the hallway going, Vanakkam, which is how you say hello in his language. Vanakkam, Suresh. Vanakkam, I mean, that is great communications. That's so fun, and you learn if he's most admired person, best concert or favorite. This is consumer style, creative communications that humanizes the executives, that makes them seem like real people. That is phenomenal. It's not on video. The video itself might have been boring. I never saw the video, but this is great. And finally, I want to that's my last thing before I turn it over to the brains of the outfit, Cindy. Oh wait, I have to drag this down now. Hold on, I got to drag it down.
Can you do it?
Yeah, my menu. Yeah, I did it.
Yes.
Yeah, learning moment today. Key learnings. This is a client of ours, WL Gore. They do phenomenal communications. I mean, absolutely great. This is something that was in print, but then here's how the Omnichannel works. They can section this and put it in this thing, put it over here. Omnichannel is all about taking great content, which Cindy's going to talk about, and not being content focused, but taking that great content and figuring out what to put where, what parts of it belong where. That's what the consumer world's doing. That's what we need to do. So this is a pretty cool thing. They do an associate profile, and oops, gotta go back onto the thing here. Sorry. First of all, they start with a quote from their founder, which I absolutely adore. Every human being that I have ever known was a tremendously potent individual with potential for invention, for innovation, for adventure, for energy, for productivity. Learn more about the people who make up our enterprise in our monthly associate profile. They do this once a month in print. They also put it online on the internet and their channels and everything else. So you learn, what excites me the most, because, so I tie it back to the mission of the company, because of our brand promise. Here's what I do. I wake up every morning. One of my favorite memories are associate are this and that. And interesting item from my office or work environment. That's right. It's all, this stuff became so much more important during COVID because people were losing the personal touch. They were losing, relationships with their coworkers. They didn't see anybody at work anymore. They were, a lot of them were at home. So I love that. I love the picture, by the way. It's not your standard execution at dawn picture where he's standing there holding a plaque of some sort. It's a cool picture in his native land. It's just really great. But it's corporate, right? It's corporate, and you can tell it's corporate by the headline. Associate profile is not a headline. You can't just make words bigger and call them a headline. I call it the size matters syndrome. Safety is not a headline. Challenges and opportunities is not a headline. Innovation is not a headline. Headlines need verbs. So we did a workshop with them, and I said, this is so cool. I love the concept, love the picture. We got to make it more compelling. We got to write a better headline, pull something out of there of all this interesting facts about him and make that the headline. So this is what I would call good corporate, but it's still corporate. This doesn't fly in the consumer world with a headline like associate profile. But then look what else they do. They do a magazine that's, I think, the best employee magazine I've ever seen. It's called Lattice. And look at the subhead, first of all. The Lattice is intended only for those with a vested interest in Gore's success, associate spouses, directors, and shareholders. And look at this. And then, by the way, this is a print magazine, but they use it all over online too. I mean, it goes into all the channels. And look at the headline. From a 10% chance of survival to an all-star athlete. Now compare that to associate profile. And look at the subhead. Learn how one patient benefited from Gore's technology. So here's the thing. You shouldn't write about products, or I call them the 4 deadly Ps: programs, policies, procedures, and products. You write about how people are affected by those things, how people built those things, how people, that make every piece of content you do about people. Learn how one patient, then you go to the story itself. Look at the headline. I'm not a big fan of quote headlines because most corporate quotes suck, but look at that headline. Everything in our life that was protecting us was made by Gore. You think employees don't read that and they're not jazzed, they're not pumped, they're not psyched? Then I've said that a patient and his parents thank associates, employees, for making devices that protect them inside and outside the body. Now listen to this first sentence. In my writing workshops, which I do, 1 a week at least, I talk about the importance of writing a fast first sentence. Get rid of the jargon, get rid of the titles, get rid of the acronyms, get rid of the corporate boilerplate, and an ongoing effort to be the leading global solutions provider of get to the point and involve a person right away. Listen to this fast first sentence. Just moments after Murphy Malone was born at Yale New Haven Hospital in Connecticut 17 years ago, the nurses and doctors were busily whispering as he began to turn blue. That is a great first sentence. Shortly after, he was whisked away from the delivery room in his mother, Kathleen Maloney's waiting arms for evaluation. Then you get a fantastic quote right up there. Quotes are so important, and we butcher them in the corporate world. Our quotes suck. They're made up. We fake them. We invent them. They're not said by humans. Listen to this quote. I knew something was wrong, Kathleen recalls of her second-born son. I didn't remember my firstborn looking that gray. Who's going to stop reading at this point? But it's all about the company. It's all about the products that they do. It's all about boring corporate stuff. Now, do we have time? No. I was going to say, real quick, how could we make that first sentence a little shorter, even better, even faster? Anyone in the chat? What's in there that doesn't have to be there?
We need some quiz music.
Thank
you. I don't know if we're getting any takers. Deb Herndon, hi Deb, says 17 years ago. Milan says the hospital.
Yes, that's it. Milan, you got it. I wish we had more time, more people would weigh in.
Ivana says the place.
Yep, how about just take that out and just say, just moments after Murphy Malone was born, the nurses and doctors were busy. Then you could work in Yale and the hospital in the 17 years, work that all in later. Get people into your content fast with running starts. All right, last thing before I turn it over to Cindy. Omnichannel means internal and external. The one big trend we're seeing is that people are, the two things are blurring. This was our client again. I'm a little over time, so we'll
Yes,
go
you-
quickly. Sorry, I know. Cindy's gonna get mad at me and yell at me.
You
on my
guys,
first-
you won't stop
my birthday
talking.
week. I'm sorry, it's my birthday.
Oh, Lord.
This was a story that came up internally, and they put it on social media. 25 red roses for the 25th anniversary of a new heart. Harold Watts received a heart transplant 25 years ago. Nurse clinician Carolyn has cared for Harold for the last 25 years. To commemorate his anniversary, Harold sent Carolyn 25 roses. Although he had a special relationship with Carolyn, look at the quote. Every nurse that took care of me like I was their dad.
Amazing.
So that internally, that could be a full-blown story on the internet where you interview her and maybe do a little video of her, maybe a little audio of her, but then you take it and pluck it and take the best and put it on Facebook. That's Omnichannel. That is taking great content and putting it in different places where it belongs, but it looks a little different each time. All right, I gotta go. Cindy and I are going to,
We have to switch places.
we have to switch places because
This is the wonderful part about virtual presenting here. We share a microphone. So with that, we have to watch out for Zoom and how it connects audio with the person who's speaking, which is why we have to switch. So here I am at Steve's computer. Hi, everybody. This next section, we've got a couple comments in the chat already. People are wondering, okay, this is great. All of these examples that Steve showed, those creative communications. The one element that is crucial, especially when you're talking omni-channel communications, is we can't just be creative just to be creative.
Wait, can you let them know that I'm in the chat now, even though it's gonna say Cindy Crescenzo?
They can hear you.
Oh, right, okay. I'm in the chat, so it's gonna show up as Cindy Crescenzo. Someone said happy birthday, so I'm gonna say
That's right.
thank you, but it's me saying it, not Cindy.
Okay, great. Thanks, Steve.
Okay.
Sorry, guys. The one thing that you need behind omni-channel communications is a strategy, right? We need to make sure we have a strategy in place, not only that our omni-channel communications are successful, but it also helps establish our role as a strategic partner. We're not being creative just for creativity's sake. Casey brought up a great point in the chat about an executive who did a video in their kitchen and it didn't land very well. While authenticity is crucial to employee communications and maybe lower production levels of video sometimes resonate better with employees, we still have to be really, really careful that we're purposeful and thoughtful behind the messages that we're delivering, the environment that we're delivering them in, and the channels that they're going out to. Are we using them in the best way possible? So before we jump into the strategy part, I really wanted to get into this question because what the heck is omni-channel anyway? And how does it differ from multi-channel? Haven't we been doing things in different channels all along? The fact of the matter is, yes, we have, but there is a different approach. And the way I like to demonstrate this to employee communicators is through what I hear in the hundreds of focus groups that I do every single year. My role in Crescenzo Communications is to help our clients understand their audiences inside and out. I dive into your organization. I help you with communication audits and research so that you really know who are we communicating to and what's the best way to do that. So, to give you an example of the difference between multi-channel versus omni-channel, let me talk to you about the number one response I hear when I talk about channels with employees around the world. And these are employees from all different kinds of organizations, different sizes. The number one response I receive when asking about channels: where do I go to look? Because everything is everywhere. This is what it looks like to them. This is how they perceive multi-channels out there. A lot of organizations fall into the trap of creating content and then wallpapering it into the internet. Then we're going to throw it in email. And then, oh, hey, let's put the same thing in an e-newsletter. Then we're going to throw it out on a Teams channel. Then, it is everywhere, and employees become confused. Where do we go for what? I don't know where to go. It's the number one thing I hear in organizations around the world. Employees are telling us this. The omni-channel approach is so much more purposeful. It's so much more streamlined. It is different channels, but you know what? We move away from being channel focused as communicators. Omni-channel really directs more of our role in communications versus the vehicles that we send things out in. A multi-channel strategy is all about being channel focused. And this is where I would say the majority of communicators' headspace is these days. We think about, what are we going to put in email? Oh, I got every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we update our internet homepage, or we send out our e-newsletter. And what do we push out on these digital things, TVs that we have in our manufacturing floors? We think of channels all the time to drive our communication strategy. Omnichannel blows that up. And omnichannel obviously uses multiple channels, but instead of our focus being on what do we do with this channel, we focus on the people we are communicating to. It is about being content focused and audience focused instead of channel focused. It's about, no matter where an employee picks up your content, whether it's in person in a town hall, whether it's not digital, whether it's on an iPhone, whether it's on a computer, a tablet, wherever they are, it's about the experience we deliver with our content. It is about employees just being able to really connect in whatever device or non-device they are using to get content. It's about the experience. It's how our communications hit home and resonate with them, no matter where they are. That's what omnichannel is all about, and it can't happen without a strategy behind it. The first step in this is to really define the purpose of your channels. Immediately stop wallpapering one piece of content in a gazillion different places just because you have a gazillion different places to put it. Instead, really think about your channels and the purpose behind them. Where do they sing? Where's their power in each channel? And that will help you develop the omni-channel strategy behind it of, hey, this channel is great for collaboration. This piece of content or our main message is really trying to encourage that collaboration. So these are the channels that we are going to focus on. And these, depending on what those channels are, here's how we're going to reformat our content so it fits that channel's best strengths. That is what omnichannel is all about, because then you're developing an experience with your content and not just pushing it out in various vehicles, right? So these are the top five. These are the top five, sorry. These are the top five, I would say, activities or purposes that we find are the most beneficial. So our recommendation to you and what we do with our clients is to think about, make a comprehensive list of all the different channels that you have. Then we want to start to tag them. We want to start to tag them by what is their strength. Do they help with collaboration? Do they help bring people together? Do they have the tools that people can sit and talk and share amongst each other? Interaction is all about commenting, questions, liking things, rating things, acknowledging people, recognizing people. Channels that are strong in news announcements and alerts. These are things that are easy to post, easy to find, easy to search channels. Channels that really make it very content like dates, alerts, announcements, very accessible and to employees where they can find them easily and quickly. Productivity are the ones that click to the tools that we need to do our jobs, whether it's workforce, timesheets, HR benefits, whatever the case may be. And then finally, the storytelling multimedia. What are the channels that really help you blow out the content that makes a difference? The content that really helps employees understand, what do we do? How employees connect to success in your organization? How employees connect and make a difference with each other? Those are we want to identify the channels that really help you bring out those storytelling opportunities. So once you have all your channels tagged like this, it helps you create an omni-channel strategy that is rooted in the behaviors we're trying to influence with our communications. What are we trying to do with the messages? And it helps you connect the channels that make the most sense for your messages. That's what omnichannel is all about. When you start thinking about your content and audience first, as opposed to, I need to publish my newsletter twice a week, it's a whole shift in mentality that really drives your communication to be more rooted in behaviors and what we want to influence versus a editorial calendar of this is when things need to go out. I hope that makes sense.
It does make sense. It's resonating and people love the infographic. And Kelly says, this is a great slide to explain the leadership.
Yes.
And internal clients, I would add, Kelly, when they want to see everything and everywhere. This is a
Exactly.
great slide to show them.
Beautiful.
We use it for leadership all the time to
Love it,
try to
Kelly.
help them.
This is another one we use, a tool that we use with leadership all the time, and it really helps. It's the backbone of your communication strategy. We have used the strategy ladder for more years than I care to say out loud, but I'm telling you the reason why it works is because it's simple and it's effective.
We've also been married for more years than she cares to say out loud.
Amen to
Just so
that.
you know.
That's a whole other webinar, guys. But the strategy ladder, so when we identify the stories that we really we connect with our purpose as communicators inside our organizations, the storytelling, the ones that really we spend a lot of time, money, and resources on, we want to apply the strategy ladder to it. Why? It's because when you follow it from top to bottom, you're making sure that there is a strategic approach behind your communications. There's an omni-channel approach behind your communications, meaning we are really thinking about our audience first. Who needs to really see this, and what messages do they need to hear? And when we identify that, then the omni-channel approach flies right in there, and we start to think about which channels does this make most sense on? How does these different channels help make this content come to life? And then finally, measurement. Measurement is, of course, for me, again, I'm the measurement person in Crescenzo Comms. It's my sole reason of being here, but it is all about figuring out what works and what doesn't work. Because if we're spending this much time, money, and resources on content, we better make sure we have a way to figure out if it's working or it's not. So just to blow this out, just so you guys have it, and again, you'll get this in the recording, you could use this to help blow out any content that you're really spending time and money on. So to make sure that we've got all the elements in place. So obviously the top part is all about strategy. We're going to define our business goal and our communication goal. The business goal, how is this communication effort going to help your organization succeed? Well, how are we going to connect it to a major strategic element? The second one, we drill down a little bit further with our communication goal and think about, from a communication perspective, what are we trying to do? Are we trying to motivate people? Are we trying to help our organization become more collaborative, help break down walls and barriers so people feel comfortable out there commenting in social spaces? Whatever that communication goal is, that's right where we want to define it. We go down a little bit further and we think to ourselves, who really needs to see this? And I'm going to talk about personas in 1 second after this slide, but your audience should never just be employees. You really, really need to think about the different segments inside your organization. I tell our clients all the time, and in my workshops, I tell people, as internal communicators, we need to start thinking more like marketers. We need to really understand our audience and our segments inside and out so that we can go to the next rung of this ladder and make content resonate no matter who you're talking to. Because once you define who your audience segment is, you know how to talk to them. You know what's important to them. You know how to grab their attention. And for that matter, when you get down to the channel part, the omni-channel part, we then use channels that make sense, that help blow out the experience of what we're trying to create with our content, that makes sense for this content to fit into. We know what channels are a good fit. And then finally, we ask ourselves one crucial question to our content. What does success mean? And we don't just want to define, well, we want a lot of click-throughs and opens and shares. Those metrics are incredibly important. We want to include them here. But what's missing when we only do that is behavior. We also have to think about what behaviors are we trying to influence with our piece of content? And how do we link those to the metrics that we see? So if I see I have 200 opens, well, so what? Did they read it? Did they understand it? Did we influence behavior as we defined in our communication goal around? What did that we have to figure out how to find out if we are moving the needle or not? And that's what measurement is all about. Success, right? And so when we say to ourselves, what does success mean for this piece? The one thing that means the most success when you talk about omni-channel is understanding who you are communicating to. Again, this is all about figuring out how would you organize the different segments in the different categories of employees in your organization. And this is different for every organization, depending on what you do, how big you are, where people are located. Some people, some clients of ours do it by role. That's an obvious one, right? I have other clients that really think about, well, you know, when you're talking about segmentation, you're really talking about how your communications will differ because of who they are, what they do, or where they work. If you start to define a bunch of categories of employees and you ask yourself, how would I communicate to them differently? And the answer is, well, I technically wouldn't, then that's not the right way to segment your audiences. You want to base it on how it will influence the way that you communicate to people or how you communicate to people. And it's all about asking questions so that you literally immerse yourself in their world. And this is the most important thing you can do as a communicator, to just really understand what does their day look like and where do our communications fit in. I have done focus groups all over the world in all kinds of crazy environments. I joke that I should one day create a coffee table book on the quotes that I hear and the locations that I'm in, because it's crazy. But I was once flown out to an oil rig, right? Bus, plane, 2 planes and a bus. I get out to an oil rig up in Canada, and I took my communicator with me because this was such a good, she couldn't sit in on the focus groups with me. I don't let that happen, but I wanted her to come with me to this remote location because the majority of their employees were there, right? And I said to her when we were planning her whole project, have you ever gone out and visited them? She goes, well, no, I've seen pictures, like, you know, in certain communications, we ask people to send over pictures. That's good, but you really need to go in order to understand what is their day like and how do your communications come across in their given environment. So sure enough, we do take 2 planes and a bus to get there. And on the way there, I ask her, well, these guys clearly aren't on email all the time. So how are you currently communicating with them? And she pulls out this beautiful communication plan. It was really well done, really thought out, all about developing print collateral that she sends out to managers and asks them to put it in all of their break rooms and stuff. And she switches it out twice a month. Okay, that's not a bad approach to people. Sometimes the most grassroots efforts work the best with audiences that are like this, right? So we go, we show up, and sure enough, we take a look at these literal trailers that are set up all over the place. And we walk inside, and it, number one, became very clear, hit us right in the face. There's not a chance anyone's taping up posters in these trailers. I don't care how good they are done or how good they are produced, but they're never going to, when you look at how they work and what their hours are and what their environment is, no one's going to stop and say, anyone got any Scotch tape? I need to put this up on the break wall room. It wasn't going to happen. So that is what, when you think about audience personas, you need to go out and talk to your audiences through surveys, through focus groups, through interviews. Those are the 3 main components I use in our communication audit so that we really dive in and really understand the DNA of the organizations that hire us. Who are these people? What do they do? What does their work look like? And when you start to do that, you can start to use data to tell their story. And that's what a persona is all about.
For the record, every time Cindy goes out to an oil rig to do focus groups with oil workers,
Yes, Steve.
I don't think she's coming back. Just for the record.
But I have come back.
But you have come back. Well, I mean, one time she was missing for a week. I don't know what happened.
You know, it's bad connectivity.
All right. Yeah.
Sorry.
Right.
But you want to use data to tell their story. And that's what a persona is about. A persona is not about a bunch of stats that you collect from HR to say, you know, we've got 30% of our workforce is nurses, 20% are doctors. You know, those percentages obviously help to tell the story. They're a little teeny component, but what you really want to do is talk to your employees, figure out what those segments are that make sense for your organization, and then tell their story. What are the biggest challenges and barriers when it comes to communications? What kind of devices do they have access to for communications, and how often realistically can they go check them? If they're not using the most obvious internet, email, that kind of thing, what are they using? What are they relying on the most? This is what your one-page persona needs to do. It needs to tell their story and really help people put themselves in the shoes of the people we're communicating to, so that we adjust our strategy accordingly for that segment. And of course, when all that is pulled together, we've got to talk about what works and what doesn't work. Here's my number one takeaway when it comes to dashboards, everybody. You just collected all that data. Avoid the cookie cutter approach to dashboards. Dashboards, you use that data to tell your employee stories, but guess what? You use it to tell your story as a communicator as well. You want to avoid this. This is what I always see when I look at dashboards from communicators. We focus on metrics and metrics alone. They're super important numbers, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying not to collect these, but the only people that care about these numbers is your comms team. If you're taking this and showing it to your leadership, they don't care. They're going to look at you and say, yeah, and so? Because what we need to always demonstrate to our leadership is how communications is helping the organization succeed. And that's exactly what you need to focus on when you think about how to report back results. When you have your omnichannel strategy in place, what channels work for which employees and which type of content and why. And here is from that top rung of that strategy ladder, how we are connecting it to helping your organization succeed. That's what leadership wants to see. So ask yourself, when you're creating dashboards, you're telling a story. Get rid of the mentality that this is math and horrible stats and metrics. You are telling a story, and ask yourself, who are you sending the dashboard to and why should they care? I started out with this template to give to you guys. I do this with every single client. I ask them, who are you going to report back to? Who needs to know what works and what doesn't work? And then we really pinpoint what's important to them. 9 times out of 10, these 4 categories of audience segments for dashboards fit for most people. So you can feel free, go ahead and use it, but add to it. Who else do you need to report success or failure to, for that matter? And what do they need to see? And that helps guide the story around your dashboard and will help you create it. But I think we're almost out of time. We want to give them one last takeaway, Steve.
Yeah, one last takeaway. This is I gotta get back on camera.
Get back on camera. Get over there.
All right, hold on. We gotta get back on camera. Sorry.
Here he comes.
The one thing that we always end all of our webinars with, all of our workshops, all of our in-person events with, is our 6-word story. Cindy and I are big fans of doing 6-word stories, and I do apologize that I went a little long. Cindy was a little rushed, but
sorry,
you got the point. And
it happens.
Great.
What's our 6-word story?
6-word story is, you got to do it.
Let's go.
Do less and do it better. Everybody over communicates. The whole omni-channel approach is I'd rather create one great story than 4 mediocre ones.
That's right.
Do less and do it better. Do everything Cindy said. Measure. Push your
Don't
creative
wallpaper
buttons.
in every single channel. Figure out which ones work for the content and the audience you're talking to.
So we do have a lot of questions, but I think we're out of time, unfortunately. We have nowhere to go. I'm going to turn it back to the moderators, but we have.
Hello, Steve and Cindy. Thank you so much. Yes, we have run out of time. There are questions in the chat and there are questions in the Q&A. So to our audience, we will be sending those questions along to Cindy and Steve, and they will answer those, and they will be among your bonus takeaways. But as a reminder to our audience, within 24 to 48 hours, you will receive a survey. Once you complete that survey, you will have access to the slides and the recording and the Q&A answers and chat answers. Steve and Cindy, thank you so much for a fantastic presentation, highly engaged audience here today. And for everyone else, I want you just to know, thank you to Haiilo, Reagan Communications. It's Communications Week. Be sure to attend our other events and have a great rest of the day.
Real quick, can you just put in the chat who you like better, me or Cindy? And remember that it's my birthday week. Put in there.
Thank you guys so much for having us. We really had a blast.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.